Yes, it's the Finnish football show. Welcome to another episode of the FFS Awaydays. And last year we did a couple of episodes. One was the Core fans going away to local rivals VPS Vasa. And then another one was when we went to the Finland fans went to Wembley to see Finland lose narrowly to England. And I brought it back for this episode because I've got something a little bit different, but it definitely falls under the away days banner. So I've got a couple of guests with me today. One is Jonny Hibberd. Hi, Johnny.
Right.
And the other one is Joe Parr. Hi, Joe.
Hiya.
And these are two football fans, football lovers from England who have had away days in Finland quite recently. And I got to hear about these and thought I'd get them onto the show and hear their stories and share them with you. Um, Joe, first of all, just introduce yourself a little bit to the listener and sort of explain, you know, your connection to football, I suppose, in general.
Yeah, so Joe Parr, originally, well, for all my life, my dad's brought me up as a Barnsley fan, currently a season ticket holder. This season hasn't been the greatest. So yeah, but throughout my life, I've always had an interest in let's say the local teams, the quirky teams, non-league football. Yeah, it's as well as Barnsley, I get out to a lot of local football around the Yorkshire area. So yeah, that's a little bit about my footballing background, really.
And what about your connection to Finnish football? Because you've been sort of following the Finnish football show, at least on social media for some years. How did you first get an interest in Finnish football?
Yeah, so Finnish footballers, I didn't know a lot about it, to be perfectly honest. And then through the long sort of days and nights of lockdown, I was playing a bit of football manager. I've always done that all my life, and found a lot more time to play football manager, and just happened to drop onto a job in one of the games as the Musan Salama manager. And
Okay.
from there, my interest was piqued. I had a fantastically long game with MuSa on I think it was Football Manager 20 at the time. And yeah, I just ended up getting in touch with the club, and it all sort of snowballed from there, really.
This is crazy. We'll get into the details of that in a minute. Johnny, what about you? Just introduce yourself a little bit, your connections to football in general.
Okay, yeah, so I'm a Stevenage fan. Also look out for Portsmouth. But yeah, it's a funny thing. It's worth mentioning lockdown and kind of um, my kind of the way I got through lockdown was that I started, a mate of mine said that the only league still playing is the Belarus League. So we were like, okay. We got into watching the Belarus League,
Of course you did.
adopted teams in the Belarus League. Um, and actually, my season this it started last July because I got a chance to watch the team that I supported in Belarusian football play in San Marino, a team called Isloch. And they didn't do very well, actually, but never mind. Um, and so since then, I've just I think it's ever since we were allowed back into football grounds after the pandemic, I just found that I sort of went a bit mad, loved the ground hopping. And this season, it's gone a bit mad. So I ended up in Germany, Union Berlin and Würzburger Kickers. I ended up dragging my wife to a Maltese game when we were over there. Also, a couple of games in Belgium. I really, really loved that. And some you sort of get addicted to it, don't you? And then for a random reason I'll get onto, I finally got round to doing a Finnish ground hop a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, so I remember sometime last year. I know I used to work with Johnny's brother, Alistair. Hi, Al. And he mentioned last year, my brother's thinking about going to watch Kuopio. I was like, okay, that's random. Any particular reason? And I didn't get a good reason at the time. But there was one, and we'll come back to that, Johnny, in a minute. Let's keep the listener let's keep the listener in suspense for both of these stories. Um, but I'm going to come back to Joe because I was listening to the Sweeper podcast, and I feel like we're all the target audience for the Sweeper. It's very like niche football, weird and wonderful stories, and Lee and Paul over there do a great job. And the Finnish Football Show listener might remember about a year ago, I was invited onto the Sweeper to talk about how my local team, SJK Seinäjoki, has this lucky minute during the game. And if a goal is scored in the 78th minute, then everyone gets a free sausage at the next home game because we're sponsored by a local sausage producer, Atria. So that was when I first connected with the guys, and I've listened to their show. And a couple of episodes ago, they had a letter for well, a letter, probably a WhatsApp message or something from Joe Parr talking about coming over to Finland to see Musan Salama, and I was like, hang on, I think I know who this Joe Parr guy is. I'm gonna reach out. So Joe, tell us how did you become? Well, you said about football manager, but how did you take it from managing MuSa on Football Manager to coming over to Finland to watch them play?
Yeah, it's all a bit of a mad whirlwind story really because yeah, it was just during lockdown you sort of you've got a lot of time, you're looking at things, and this game had sort of piqued my interest. I'd looked up the club and I thought, oh, I'll get collect shirts and stuff like that. I'll collect a shirt now. The Moose's club page on the internet. It's not the the best website in the world. And I went on there, had a little look, and unfortunately not being able to read any Finnish at all. Couldn't really understand how I was going to try and buy the shirt. So I think I managed to found an email somewhere and just out of interest emailed the club and just said, look, I'm looking to buy a shirt. How can we get this sorted? And Carrie, who's the CEO, he emailed me back and just said, yeah, great, we can sort you out a shirt. And put me in touch with the sort of like the local clubman, Ilka, and it was from there really that sort of like this friendship was born because Ilka was sort of said, well, yeah, we can get the shirt sorted out for you, we'll get it shipped over. And then he just, he said, oh, if you can send me a number and send us a picture, we can, I don't know what we'll do with it, but we'll stick it up there when you get it. And then he texts me, he texted me a couple of days later, and he just said, just out of curiosity, why did you want a Musa shirt? And it sort of went from there, and yeah, you know, as I was waiting for the shirt, I was sort of it was coming into the new season, and all of a sudden I got this text, and Ilka said, "Oh, you check social media." So I went on to, well, I had a little look on Facebook, and I was like, "Oh, I wonder what he's on about." Then went on to Instagram, and all of a sudden I see the splash of this on the Musa Instagram feed of a new signing, Joe Parr from England signs for Musa Salama. That was just absolutely like taken aback, and I was like, "What?" I was a bit disbelief, and I was like, "Oh," and then another post, and it goes straight into the sort of like into the match day squad onto the subs bench against in the sort of like friendly the derby against FC Jazz, the
That's
Pori derby
hilarious.
against FC Jazz, and I was like, what is going on here? And I suddenly twigged that it was April the 1st. It was April Fool's
So it got
joke.
you as well as all their fans.
Well, but it got me. It got the Musa in the is it Kakkonen at the time, and it got them as well because they'd retweeted it, and then they sort of had to backtrack a bit and were like, oh, it's no April Fool's joke, but
When
and
was this? When did this all happen?
it was April 2001, so yeah,
2001 or 21?
2000, no, 2021, sorry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Sorry, 20 was it 2021? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it was all a bit. I was like, oh my, I said, well, that was it really. I was sort of, when somebody does something like that, you sort of completely, you're interested, and I was like, I just started following the games from there, and I was like, well, I can get onto the local newspaper, I can watch the games, and that was it. And they started off absolutely fantastic that year. We're top of the league, and I thought, oh, get promoted into the Veikkausliiga, that'd be great.
Give it a few
Sort of,
years, we'll be laughing.
yeah, and it went a bit downhill from there, and they found their way into it was the fifth division with the restructures of the leagues. But yeah, so yeah, and this shirt eventually arrived.
So
Um,
is that black? Is it? That shirt
yeah,
there?
this is the away shirt.
Yeah.
This is the
Okay.
away shirt. I've actually got picked up one of the obviously not for the listener here, but for YouTube, the home shirt as well when I took a trip over. So yeah, that's how it really came about, and my yeah, I've been supporting him ever since.
So how many times have you been over to watch MuSa?
Yeah, so I've been twice now. So
Okay.
I convinced my cousin and a few friends that we needed to take a trip over to Pori to watch them a couple of years ago. So we yeah, we went over to watch them against, oh, it's just dropped out of my head now. TPK, that was it,
Mm.
TPK. And it was an absolutely fantastic experience. We were sort of met at we flew into Tampere. We were met by one of the guys who does the social media there, who lives in, he's a local, and he met us and he was like, right, I'm going to show you to the train station, show you around. Got a picture of us there to put on the social media saying they've arrived. And then train from Tampere into Pori, and then Ilka and a few friends were there to sort of meet us and took absolutely amazing care of us, really putting on a bit of a barbecue at Ilka's house, and then sort of taking us to the game and meeting the players, meeting the manager at that time. It was Jefferson Perez, who's now at FC Hacker at the academy. And yeah, we went and had a look around the Pori Stadium where they had played at, but they were playing at their Musan Kenta, which is known as Wembley. But I think a lot of places are known as Wembley in Finland. But fantastic little ground. Just got the wooden sort of the wooden bleachers, like just a real charm about it, which you don't get in England.
Mm.
And yeah, it was just a fantastic game, a good win. Players coming over to celebrate with us as well, and then had a bit of a celebration with the players and the manager and the staff at the end of the game. And yeah, it was just a real fantastic experience. And then recently, I took my fiance out for a weekend away in Helsinki, and we managed to catch them playing away there at HPS. So that was fantastic, and another win. So two wins out of two.
I'm surprised they let you go
100%.
home again.
I know, I know, but yeah, it's they're just they're a fantastic friendly club, and as I say, it's the connections that you sort of form through that which have kept me interested, really, because I think with a lot of clubs, I could have just bought a shirt and that'd have been it, and I probably wouldn't have never batted an eyelid. I might have looked out for the scores, but I probably certainly wouldn't have visited
Mm.
twice. So yeah, it's been great to follow them, really, and keep in touch with people.
Did they make a fuss of you on your second visit? Because you were there quite recently, a few weeks ago.
Yeah. So yeah, they did make a fuss. Yeah, just with a bit of a picture in with the players after the game with the win. So yeah, it's good. It's good. I think yeah, I'm their most famous fan. I think now at the moment, listening to others. I think
Every every
the
time you
first
go back, it'll be like the prodigal son returns again. We're
yeah.
another 3 points this weekend, lads.
Well, yeah, and I mean, there was a spread in the paper, in the local paper, when I first went out to Pori as well. So again, that was a surprise, and I think I was driven around to a house to find that newspaper. It's somewhere in the house now, but yeah, to find that newspaper, yeah, it's just everything that they've done has been fantastic, really, and certainly I'll be a fan for life because that's they've had me hooked, and that's it.
How it works in football, isn't it?
Mm.
Johnny, let's bring you in. Um, you I said that I'd asked Alistair why you wanted to come to Finland, and it wasn't initially for the football. Explain your motivation for coming over to watch KuPS Kuopio. You set your sights higher at the
Okay.
Veikkausliiga, but what made you want to come over in the first place?
Yeah, so I look like I'm glory hunting, don't I? Going straight to the champions of Finland, but that,
A
that
little
wasn't the
bit, yeah.
plan at all. Yeah, in actual fact, what happened, I've got sort of, I suppose, three great passions, which are gratuitous travel, usually trains, but not exclusively, football, and food, and particularly crazy things that I'm not going to get anywhere else. And I fished out actually the BBC article that originally inspired me on this
Okay.
about a thing called a Kalakukko.
Okay.
And I have to ask, do people elsewhere in Finland even know what that is? Because I was, more or less smuggling this thing through airport security, Helsinki. The guy didn't know what it was, and
Really?
so he asked me what it was. I just said Kalakukko, and his colleague knew what it was and was explaining to a Finnish person what it was.
That is
Um,
brilliant.
so I thought, well, that sounds mad. The Kalakukko, the attraction of it is it's fish and pork together in a rye bread, which sounds, it sounded absolutely mad. I thought, not many cuisines pull off fish and meat together. So I thought, well, I'm going to have to go and try that one of these days. And yeah, my brother Al, he mentioned that he has a mate who runs a Finnish football podcast. So I kind of said, well, I don't want to go just for the Kalakukko. What else goes on there in Kuopio? And yeah, the message came back well. They're the champions of Finland. Yeah, I flew in on a Friday, very much whistle stop trip. On the Friday night, I actually went across to the HJK Stadium to watch a women's game. So it's their second team against the team from Turku. And that was really just a chance to check out another ground
Mm.
and get another tick. Took a stupidly early train the next morning. Bear in mind, 5:57 train. So that's 3:57 in the UK, and I haven't adjusted.
Yeah.
So I somehow turn up in Kuopio, make a beeline for this Hannah Parton and bakery, and get two Kalakukka. I had a small one, and the small one was all right. I was like, okay, I guess it's worth it. But got the bigger one home for my family, and that was blinding.
Let's describe this a little bit because I'll put a link in the blog post that goes along with this to the Wikipedia page because it's not very long, but it just describes it all perfectly. But it's like a loaf of bread made with rye flour mostly, and then inside the bread, sealed inside, is this fish. Generally, it's moikku, which is vendace, and pork, and the way it's slow cooked so that all the juices kind of soak into the bread, so it's quite moist. It sounds really dry, but it's
Mm.
actually quite moist. And then they described on the page that you should sort of cut a hole in the top and eat that top part as bread, but then scoop the rest of it out and eat it with the bread that's surrounding it. Did you do
That's
it
where
the
I
the right way?
failed. I
Okay.
actually forgot how you're meant to eat it
Okay.
and just bit into this thing
Okay.
and did a rather rubbish Instagram post about
Okay.
it.
Right.
Um, yeah, I mean, it was, unusual. The one I brought home was amazing. And what I hadn't twigged is it's not just one bakery that does it, it's tons of different ones. So
Mm.
now I wish maybe I'd got a couple more from other places and, you know, um, so I could have got really carried away. They actually sell them at the ground. Um,
Really, in
yeah,
Kuopio, I haven't been to Cups for an away game, so did you get one there as well?
I didn't because
Okay.
it's just very rich. And by the time I was more sort of hot dog territory,
Yeah,
but
okay.
yeah,
That's got to be up there on the weirdest things that you would eat at a football ground,
It
yeah.
definitely
surely.
does. Yeah, and there are whole Twitter like accounts based on what you can eat at football grounds, and that would definitely be up there. Um, and through. Well, actually, you commented on a Finnish football show Twitter post. I refuse to call it X. I'm stuck. I'm still calling it Twitter. I barely use it, so I can. That's my excuse. And I saw that post, and I was like, go into KuPS, and I looked at your name, and I thought, I wonder. Somehow I connected this to what Alistair had told me last year, and I contacted him. I said, "Is this your brother?" Yeah, that's him. All right, fine. Let's see if we can help. So I introduced you to Jonny. So connected to the Finnish football show, we've got a WhatsApp group, and it's kind of grown a little bit. It used to be the few of us making the show, and now we've started to invite a few other people in who are sort of followers of the show and fan, and people have taken part in the podcast actually. So when we did the preview shows this year, I had a few of the SLOs from different clubs, and they've come in the group, and it's building into quite a nice friendly rivalry, but friendly place. And one of the guys in that group is Jonny. So I asked Jonny if he was going to the game, if he could give any tips. Um, how was your day out with Jonny up in Kuopio?
Yeah, brilliant. So I just met him at the ground in the end,
Okay.
and he took me straight into the ultras section where it all happens. He gave me a very kind of, how should I say, kind of lowered my expectations, kind of said, oh, the ground's not very good. And those aren't the words he used. And, they've got one stand that's really,
Mm.
really nice. And he says, well, the intention was to do the other parts and they never got around to it. And for him, that's a bit of a shame because it tends to mean that if they get anywhere in European competition, people aren't going to be going to Kuopio, which is
Yeah.
always a shame, right? But yeah, it was really good. So sat in with the ultras. He told me that the coach tends to want them to just win 1-0, get your goal and then sit tight. But they won 3-0, so I felt like it was a bit of a bonanza, but probably the highlight of the game was this volleyed clearance from the goalie, which got around social media a little bit.
Oh, really? Oh, I think I missed that. But it's good, and he was very. When I mentioned that you were coming over, he was very happy to sort of try and help out if he could, and it made me when Joe was talking before, it just made me think that that's the thing about Finns in general. Yes, football fans, but in general, if you've got an interest in Finland, or if you've got an interest in their town or in their club or whatever, and it's genuine and you're not taking the mick, then they love it and they want to show the best side of their town. And I think that's I think that's important. We would. I like to think we would all do that. Whether if a Finnish person came to Barnsley or to Stevenage and wanted to go to a game, you'd sort of hold out the hand of friendship and say, "Come on, this is how
I'd
we
do
do
my
it."
best. Yeah.
Yeah,
Stevenage
absolutely.
is a hard sell, but yeah.
Well, hey, listen, Musan Salama were in the fifth tier when Joe fell in love, so there's no accounting for quality of the football. That doesn't really matter, does it? Um, I think also what's come through here is that we all need to give a big shout out to our very patient wives. And I know that most most or to wives to be, let's say, but for tolerating this nonsense. And I'm lucky that Satu has kind of got more into football since we've been together, and we both have a season ticket at Asiko. We go together. We go maybe once a year to watch the Finland national team play, and it's part of the things that we do together, which obviously makes it a lot easier to follow this hobby. But yay to wives who tolerate our nonsense.
Well, I've got to say that my fiance Sarah, she actually enjoyed going to see MuSa more than she ever did going to see a Barnsley game. So, yeah, so she's
It's exotic, you see.
yeah, I know. There's definitely one out there. I think it was it was the local nature of, let's say, of the game. Less fans and probably less fans swearing and shouting abuse because
She
Barnes
just
are not
didn't
doing very
understand
well.
it. There would have been
Well,
plenty of
yeah,
abuse
it
and
probably
swearing,
was. Yeah,
I'm
it probably
sure.
was.
Um, so, do either of you have plans to come back, or is it just sort of, yeah, we will do that again someday?
I mean, certainly from my point, I'll probably be back. When I don't know. It's it's. I suppose I'll have to take everybody and the kids to try and get over there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it's certainly I'd love to go back. And to be honest, I thought the country is absolutely fantastic. Pori was lovely. Helsinki recently just found that to be a fantastic city really, and the weather on both occasions has actually been pretty good. So I'm sure that's not always the case, but yeah, just I loved it. And just to get on the food theme as well, I'm a big fan of the little sausages that they tend to do at grounds. HPS and MuSa did them. Little sausages with a little bit of mustard and a little bit of honey mustard. It's just slightly sweeter than the mustard that you get in the UK, and I'm a fan. I'm a big fan.
What I would say about you're right. They're fine. They're like big frankfurters. That sort of sausage, aren't they? There's not a lot of meat in them, that's for sure. And a lot of Finns will say, "Oh, I love the sausage that's like 80% flour and a little bit of meat. That's the sort of sausage for me." But the problem is that's all you get at any sporting event that you go to in Finland. So after a while, it's like, "Oh yeah, makkara again." Even if Ashiko occasionally gives you a free one for scoring a goal at the right time.
Well,
Um,
unless you go to Kuopio.
okay, go on.
Unless you go to Kuopio and get Kalakukko.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Okay, well, that's something to incentivize me going to Kuopio, and I guess now this whole food thing also ties back round to the previous episode. So I'll put a link in the blog and also on the YouTube video. You'll probably see a little link now because when we went to the Vasa game, the first of these away days, we were talking about a new song that the Ashikor Kloppet had started singing, which translates as "We maybe have no traditions, but we've got love. We've got spinach pancakes and mincemeat sauce." And I won't go into it. You just have to go back and listen to that episode. It's all explained perfectly well there. We only sing it at Vasa, and this is not a Finnish delicacy, not an Etelä-Pohjanmaa delicacy, but apparently it's basically a Seinäjoki delicacy. And I only had it once, and that was last year when Satu cooked it for me from scratch, and it was magnificent, but not very healthy. So all right. Any final bits and pieces from either of you about your experiences in Finland?
Yes, you were asking actually, would I go again? And I
Yeah.
definitely would. And I clearly got the bug because I was really disappointed my flight wasn't a bit later, so I could have gone to Finnkurd against Sexy Pants.
Sexy
Because
boxer. Yeah, that's a
I
great.
think would have been superb. I've got this sort of funny interest I built up at football clubs in minority areas. And so by that in Finland, I would mean Swedish speaking areas.
Yeah.
So I'm quite interested to go and watch Mariehamn,
Yeah.
maybe.
We had a plan this year to do that because from here it's basically a 2 night journey because you travel down one day, stay overnight, watch the game. If you're rushing, then you could come back the next day. But it takes like a 5 hour ferry from Turku out to Mariehamn, and it's a mission. And we were thinking, yeah, this would be great. We'll have the experience. And it came at Easter weekend. It's a bit early in the season. It was a bit cold, and we were both like, "Nah, I want to go when it's when it's warmer." So maybe next year. Hopefully, Mariehamn can stay up, and maybe we'll do it next year. But yeah, I'm with you on that, Johnny.
Yeah.
That sounds
So I had
interesting.
amazing time in Finland. And contrary to what you're told what an expensive country it is, but I didn't find that. I didn't find the train tickets expensive. I didn't find the accommodation expensive. I did find the beer expensive. So
Yeah.
actually, when Yoni said, well, some of the guys are going to the pub again after I'd already been to the pub before the game. So some of them are going to the pub after the game. And I was like, can't afford it. So yeah, that's the only thing.
No, that's fair. I think in some respects the UK has caught up with Finland. I mean, it's not unusual to spend £7 for a pint, certainly in the south. Maybe
Yeah.
less so where you are, Joe. Which is what, €8. It's funny
Yeah.
because like I go to the supermarket and a pint of Bishop's Finger. I do like a pint or a bottle of Bishop's Finger, and it's like for €4.50 in a supermarket, and I'm thinking it's a bit pricey. Then you go to the pub and it's €9, and you think, oh, well, that's not bad value compared to a tap beer, which is like about the same price. At least I get something better quality. So yeah, maybe the trains are excellent. I mean, we're
Yeah.
talking about travel, aren't we? So talking about the trains is relevant. If you book your ticket on the day, probably you're paying about 70, €80. If you book it in advance, I booked up tickets from when we go on our summer holiday from Seinäjoki to Helsinki, and then the return journey. We booked them 10 or so weeks in advance, and for four of us to travel return, it's cost me about €100, or maybe 120. Like it's really good value. So you can
It
get
was
around the
not
place if
bad.
you plan it.
And in fact, I paid not much more, an extra 10 or something for the first glass. And actually, what I loved about that was the Nordic thing of the coffee by intravenous drip. I'm kind of in heaven with that. So
And if you're a train aficionado, then it's always nice to do that in another country as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
And what about you, Joe? Anything else before we wrap up?
Yeah, I just think the one thing that I love about Finnish football at the I always look out for now is the Finnish Cup draw at the start near the start of the season, because some of the teams that you get picked up in that are absolutely fantastic. I mean, you've got, what was it, chicken wings, you've got obviously sexy pants, but yeah, Fish United
Yeah.
is a favourite, and just just some of the fun teams that you get in there.
isn't
It's got
that the
to be,
famous round zero?
yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, we covered that in one of our episodes earlier this year, and I just mentioned it because I thought this is quirky. There's a round zero, and then Rasmus, who co-presents with us sometimes, he said, "Oh yeah, I'm playing in that." I was like, "There we go. That's beautiful. We've
Yeah,
got."
you get all these, you get these sort of overage teams as well, don't you? Which are absolutely fascinating. So it's yeah, they should do it in England.
And there are teams. There are
Get-
teams. There's I think Gilla FC in the Helsinki area that's got quite a lot of old. I don't know if they're international players, but certainly like Veikkausliiga level
All
players.
right, okay.
And in Seinäjoki we have Apollo FC, which is kind of like there's players there that have always been amateur but very good, and
Yeah,
then there's ex-players, former players from SJK that and one or two maybe from Vasa as well, who have sort of finished playing, and when this team has its Suomen Cup run, all the big guns come out, and it's kind of fun to see that. It's
yeah,
not, they take it seriously, but maybe they don't take themselves too seriously, and I think that's
Yeah.
the
I
thing.
think what I saw about Finnish football, I mean, I used to live in Slovakia, and one of the sort of common things with one or two countries that I know is countries where football is not the number one sport, right? In England, it's the number one sport. You're supposed to like it, and you get a lot of hangers-on who, they're not really big football fans, but they make small talk about it. And you go to somewhere like Finland, and you meet the football fans, and they're not, they might not be great in number, but they know their stuff and they're really into
Mm.
it, and there's so much heart to it. And I think that really kind of came across.
And what I've done is surround myself with those people to make this podcast because I've been learning from them for the last 10 years, and now I can repeat what they say and sound like I know what I'm talking about.
yeah.
All right, I think that probably wraps it up for this episode of FFS Away Days. Joe and Johnny, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your stories. This is the kind of slightly crazy side of football fandom, but I think it's great, and keep doing what you do, and like stay in touch as well, and let us know when you're next coming over, so that we can I don't know, somehow be aware of it, involved in it, or at least following your exploits.
Yeah, we'll take you to. I'll take you to a MuSa game. It'll be great.
That sounds like a plan. If we do it at the right time when you guys come over, let's try and find a way where I can bring you to the Oma Asper Stadion here in Seinäjoki, and then go and watch your teams play. I assume that KuPS now is your team in Finland, Johnny.
I don't know. Jonny was trying to trying to enlist me, and I kind of said I support too many teams now. I've got this 10 quid share in Truro City. I've got this Union Saint-Gilloise thing going on. I'm very excited about that at the weekend. So I kind of said to him, look, I don't think I can take on any more teams right now.
You can have a team, at least one team in each country. There's plenty of countries in the world.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. Gents, thank you so much for joining us, and
Thanks.
and
Yeah,
I
thanks,
hope
Keith,
I
as
hope
they
that the
say.
Finnish football show continues to be interesting for you guys as well. And listener, until the next episode, thanks for listening or watching, and goodbye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Finnish Football Show. You can find us online at finishfootballshow.com. Remember to subscribe to the show wherever you're listening or watching. You can follow the Finnish Football Show page and group on Facebook, and also on Instagram. Escape to Suomi on Twitter is now Finnish Football Show on X. And you will find us on Blue Sky at Finnish Football Pod. See the links in the episode description, along with the links to the Finnish Football Show merch stores.